Uh, Welcome to Meet the Artist. My name is Keisha Willingham, and we are in Slow Gallery today in downtown San Luis Obispo, California. So if you're local or around, please stop by and come check out the artist. We are, how do you say your last name, Jewel?
DeMoss.
DeMoss. Okay,
Yes.
so this is Jewel DeMoss. She is one of the artists here. She has her stuff here. Please come by.
Please.
So tell me about the beginning of your art journey.
Well, the beginning of my art journey, like a lot of individuals who worked full time, my journey started when I was young and taking art classes before I had a career. Once the career came along, then art was sacrificed, unfortunately, and I know I'm not the only one that happens to. But once I retired, then I could start over, and what I found to be a lot of fun was then I also had time to experiment. So
Try.
yes, so I started out with watercolor, which I've since given up. It's too hard. Actually, I did some very nice watercolors, but
It's challenging.
you can't make a mistake,
No.
especially if you used a stain. Anyway,
Fair enough.
so then I went to acrylics, and then a friend, because I lived up by Mount Shasta.
Okay.
In any case, there was a workshop in Mendocino. Who could
Right.
who could ask for a better place to take a
No
workshop?
doubt.
So it was on mixed media,
Okay.
and abstracts, basically not a lot of instruction, just instruction in terms of how you can put it together, but nothing about what it should look like.
Right.
So we all just did our own thing.
Wow.
And it was so much fun, and I will honestly say, and I'm not being modest, I did some great work.
Nice.
And anyway, then I fell in love with mixed media. So I now work back and forth acrylics and mixed media. Although, just to keep myself busy, I have also started playing with clay.
Nice.
Yes. And my problem with clay is I actually have sculpted I love her, a woman,
Okay.
because I like women. I like the female
Right,
form, which
yeah.
is why I do figurative work in any case. But I haven't been able to touch her because I don't really know how to glaze. She's been bisqued, she's ready to go,
Okay.
she's ready to be glazed. But unlike painting, I'm afraid to touch the glaze to the clay. So
Well, because then it's permanent.
that's a problem.
I-
I can't just paint over
Over
it.
Right.
So
I
I'm a
could
chicken.
see the fear here. I'm like,
I am a-
oh, I'm feeling that. Like, oh yeah.
I'm a
like
chicken.
once
Uh-huh.
Because you love her.
I love her.
as she is.
Yes, I do.
Mm.
I love her. And I don't want to mess her up, although I keep trying to convince myself that I could do it again. And the second time she probably would turn
Be
out
better. I would imagine.
But
Right, but. Like, that's your baby.
I know.
don't wanna mess it up.
I have a friend in Mount Shasta who works with clay, and in fact, they've got I think it's Ashland that they've got a show. And anyways, she said if I send her the image of the piece, that she'll give me some ideas.
Oh, which would be helpful. And then
Which
you
would
could-
be helpful.
Oh,
But then I
nice.
have to go out and buy the glaze.
Right, or you go visit her and use her.
Well, that was
space.
the other idea.
Right.
In fact, I think that's what
I
I'm
think
going to
that's-
do.
yeah, I think
and
that's
I love.
what you need to
Yes,
do.
I just got back from a road trip. I was up there. That's when I was talking with her, and so she said,
Bring it.
"Bring it, do some more, bring them
'em.
all."
Oh, see, that's great.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I can use her glaze,
Yeah.
so I don't have
Yeah.
to buy glaze,
Yeah.
and I'm never using
And
it
you can
because
just try. Like,
I can
that's
just-
the opportunity
exactly.
just to try.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, I do
love that.
too.
I think that that's a huge benefit in, I don't know, having friends that are artists as
Yes,
well, right? It's like,
yes.
well, you do this, I do this. Can I
Yes.
try that? I just want to hang out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to buy kiln,
right,
right? I don't want to do that.
Right.
But I would love to do some clay. I would love to do,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
because I sculpt. That's my primary.
What do you use to sculpt? Are you clay? Are you stone? Are you metal? Are you
My primary
Wood?
medium currently is fiberglass and cement.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
So it definitely creates a different look. and then I do sculpt in paper, and I usually finish that off in like a clear resin so that it's solid and
I'd
hard.
love to see your
and-
work. It sounds really interesting.
Thanks. I'll show you some when
Okay.
we're done. But
Okay. All right.
yeah, but I love that, right? So, but I paint with acrylic. I try watercolor, but I'm like you. I'm like, I don't know. I bring watercolors every time I come to the coast. I bring watercolor with me because it's small and compact, and I can carry it with me. And it is scary to me. Like, it's intimidating.
Well, it's interesting with watercolor because I have done that. I take my little packet with me if I'm on a trip,
Yeah.
the train, whatever,
Yeah.
and they have to be quick.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I transfer or put my translation on it on canvas on acrylic, it's not nearly as loose and it's not nearly as nice.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. So I know.
So sometimes watercolor actually. I mean, if you're doing something quick,
Right.
but yeah, to
It's-
create a big painting and get that stain in the wrong place and not be able to lift it.
I would like to get better at it. I don't need to be a watercolor artist, right? Like, I don't need to do that, but I would like to be more confident maybe in using it, because I think that it has some good tools and some good kind of opportunities that other mediums don't offer.
They're
You know?
bright.
Yeah. Well,
And
and
if
I love that you can go from this, like, you can be very intentional about
Yes.
what you're doing.
And you can splatter.
Yeah, or you can be very soft,
I know.
right? So I think that I love
Yeah.
that it has like lots of different opportunities.
I
So
agree.
I do a lot of stuff in alcohol ink, and I feel the same about that.
Oh.
Although I feel like alcohol ink, I can be like, I am not trying to do anything in particular. I let it be the boss of me, and I just move it around, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm like, yes, I've completed it, or I'll get inspired with a word. Like, I get oftentimes a word that I see, and then the need or the pull is to make somebody feel that in that
Huh.
piece. And so
That's interesting. What a good journey that would be.
I mean, sometimes it's just like sometimes I just need something to do that I can do quickly. Doesn't take a lot of space, doesn't take a lot of equipment, doesn't take a lot of
Right.
stuff, because a lot of my sculptures are big, so I can't just put them in the car,
Yeah.
right, and take them with me and continue to work on them there. So, but yeah. So how do you get inspired?
Well, actually, I get inspired in my own head most of the time.
Okay. What does that sound like?
Well, that sounds like it might be an experience of mine, it might be an experience of someone else's, but I like to tell stories.
Oh, yeah.
And so that story could be my story, or it could be someone else's story. And I like painting figurative because, once again, I mean, that's women I can relate to,
Okay.
and their
yeah.
stories I can
Sure.
relate to. And so most of what I do is figurative, abstract figurative.
Gotcha.
Not realism by any stretch of the imagination. And then I have been playing with abstract. Abstract is hard.
Why do you think it's hard?
I think it's hard because, with figurative, even though it's abstract figurative, I've got a thing that I'm starting with.
Fair.
With abstract, straight abstract, I am starting with just my own empty mind.
I mean, literally, because you just got to put
Well,
something on
yes,
the page, right?
yes.
Like, you just got to put something on the canvas and then go, okay, now I can work from here.
And that is exactly what. So I mean, someone once said, "Well, start with a certain palette." So, and I've got certain
that's
palettes,
fun too,
right?
right?
So I've got certain palettes that I really like, but still, within the palette, you've got to have some vision about where those colors are going to go in relation to those colors somewhere else in the painting. And I mean, I'm not going to,
Okay, fair.
well,
Yeah.
I will say, I am happy with most of the abstracts that I have done, but but it doesn't come as easily because I'm not telling a story that is dear to my heart or that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
I'm not at all familiar with abstract, other than I like looking at it.
Right. Right. I wonder if abstract artists specifically, I'm trying to think of the few that I've interviewed, if they are telling a story, if their perspective is telling a story.
And they may be.
Yeah, because I mean, it's really telling a story it's all in how the expression of the story,
Right.
So for somebody who is predominantly abstract artist, then the story is always going to be abstract, right? The story is always going to come
Right.
out in an abstract
Right.
way, but
Right.
there's still, for the artist, there's still
Right.
a story there.
Yes.
So,
My
so
story
everybody's
com-
just a unique storyteller.
Right. My story comes after the painting is done.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, so when I've completed an abstract painting, then I see,
Yes.
whereas I don't start with an idea,
Right.
I end up with
it.
something that actually it turns out has meaning.
Right, actually has
Yes,
a story.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, funny, because I feel like art has a story. Every piece of
Yes.
art has, I mean, there is a story
Yes.
in it. And
Yes.
so whether you're starting out with the story or
Right.
not, the art
It may
will
not be
tell
intentional.
you. Yeah, the art will tell you a story.
Right. We hope.
Well, it's going
It
to tell
does.
a story.
It-
It might not be a good story.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
yeah.
it might.
That's-
I mean, who knows? But there'll be a story there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, even if I have to make it up.
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. Or somebody else, right? So
Oh, that's
somebody else
true.
sees it.
Yes.
And
yes.
it says this tells
Yes.
them a story, and then
Yes.
you're like,
Yes.
okay, well, good.
Yes.
Now that piece has a
Yes.
story.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's your current favorite medium? So, I know you're working in some clay now, which is like new and different, but are you you're primarily you mixed media? So, in your mixed media, what all are you using?
Well, I use, I have some handmade paper that I made once upon a time. In fact, and I'm going to make some more, I hope, in this coming year. So I use paper. It can be a gunny sack. It can be.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, I used in one of my pieces TiVo.
Oh yeah.
And TiVo, which I didn't know before somebody told me that it did this, if you take a heat gun to it, then it
Crinkles up.
makes
Does
these-
magical stuff.
It does magical stuff, and it makes these absolutely interesting.
Textures.
Yes, and cardboard. I mean, yes,
Right.
there's all sorts of stuff out there that you can throw on a canvas
Absolutely.
and get going.
That's so fun. What do you have any advice for like artists? Like it could be a new artist or just like, speaking maybe to somebody who might be like struggling getting going.
Well, I would say don't be like me.
Don't wait till
Don't
you
be
retire.
afraid.
Is that what you're saying?
Don't wait till you're retired, but don't be afraid.
Be fearless.
Yeah, fearless. I mean, I have people say to me, "We can't believe that you can't touch that woman that you created in clay, because we think of you as fearless." But it's not true. I am full of fear when it comes to even sometimes applying paint. And I know very well. It's like coloring or cutting your hair. I mean, I know that the paint can be covered over with other paint.
Sure, but I happen to be a hairdresser, so like you touched on a thing, and I'm like, no, like the absolute thing you don't want to do is cover over it, right? Like we don't want to, so I feel that level of fear, right? Which is like, yeah, but.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like
Or-
yes, I can cover over it, but like that's not the intention or purpose. going
Actually,
in.
right. And I would say one other thing, because I'm really bad at it. When there are too many times when I look at something, I say, "Oh, I like that," and then I wake up the next morning and think, "Well, maybe I should tweak it, do this or do that. And
Try.
you know where I'm going.
I absolutely do know where you're going with this. Yep.
And the next thing I know, I don't like it any longer.
Right.
Then I'm trying to recapture what
what I had. Right. And you're like,
Yeah.
dang it. Why didn't I just leave it alone?
Exactly. Yes.
I think sometimes when I'm feeling that, one of the things that I'll do is I'll start another one. Right? Because maybe I don't really want to fix that. I just want to do something.
Right,
And
you have
that
to set
is
it
already
aside.
there. And
Yes,
right. So
yes.
and if I still feel like I need to come back to it, then I can come back to it.
Yes.
But at least I got like the weirdness out somewhere
Yes,
else. So,
yes.
but yeah.
You're better at that than I am.
I don't know that I'm better at it. I try. Like, here's a technique, right? Like, hold deep breath, hold it in for 4 seconds, breathe it out. Like, it's just a technique.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
It's just a technique of
yeah.
like, okay, how can I? Because I've done it enough to know
Right.
I don't want to do that. So
Right.
how can
It's frustrating.
How can I intervene
Right.
on myself?
Yes.
From screwing that up, right?
That's a great
Yeah.
idea. That's a good suggestion. I'll have
So-
to start trying that.
Yeah.
Of course, I know
Distract
myself.
Well, you have to put it away.
I have to put it away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
actually have to get
'Cause
in
if
my
it's-
car and go away because I'm not
Oh.
good at putting stuff away. I'd have to go out.
Go for a walk.
Go for a walk, do
Yeah.
something, yes,
Yeah.
and pretend
So-
that I
Right.
don't even own it.
Yeah, fair. I need to wipe that out of my brain. It needs to go away.
Yeah, it doesn't usually work,
No.
but I know what I should do.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
don't do it.
Well, I mean, and here's the deal. Like, the worst that can happen is that we screw it up.
Yeah,
We can always make another piece. It'll never be that piece again.
right. It will
But
never be that
it'll
piece
maybe
again.
be the piece that was really supposed to be there.
Right. Sometimes
You
I
know
have to
what I
white it out completely and start over
Yeah.
because I get stuck.
Mm.
When I get upset with myself, this is why, and every art instructor says, learn when to stop.
I
And that's a big one. Learn when to stop. And so I haven't gotten to the point where I can learn when to stop because I'm kind of. Painters should be. Although I'm saying this about myself, and in fact, I shouldn't because actually I like my work. But painters, I think art requires that you have some. Freedom, and that there's a looseness in your, looseness is not probably the exact same word, or the word that I need, but there's a looseness and a relaxation. You can't get uptight and well, that's the problem. You can't get uptight and be able to stop. And I tend to be a personality sort that is pretty stringent, strident, obsessive, perfectionist, and those qualities don't usually go that well with
So
art.
type A is what I'm hearing, right?
That's what I am.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing type A. I'm hearing type A. And I can see how, although I feel like most artists are perfectionists,
Yes.
we just, if that makes any sense, and I think maybe doing art is our desperate way of not to be a perfectionist, right? Because we have to know when to quit, and we have to know when
Yes.
to, like,
Yes.
so it's a
Yes.
it's a taming of the artist,
Yes.
right?
That is a
art
good
is the
way to
taming
put that.
of the artist.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And
So-
some people can be tamed and others can't.
Right, or we have moments of it, right? We have moments
Oh,
of being able to
absolutely.
walk away and be like, I am
Absolutely.
done, it is
Yes,
complete, and I'm
yes.
fine with it.
Yes.
And then we have other times when we struggle,
Right.
but that's the taming.
Right. And sometimes I have to say, so that, when I think I might be done, but I think that I want to tweak it, I'm able most of the time now at least to catch myself before I ruin it.
Okay.
So-
yeah, it's just practice, right? Get
Yes.
to know yourself better.
No, I think I know myself.
Which
That's part of the
might be
problem.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so advice. What was your advice for artists?
Oh, so my advice, going back to what I was talking about in terms of myself, my advice to an artist is to take chances, to not be afraid of varied media. In fact, I think working with different media is really helpful. Watercolor is good because watercolor really allows you to be loose. If you let yourself
Forces
loose
it.
it forces it, yes.
Yeah.
And that looseness is really important when it comes to art. And the other thing that I would say is that I think that it's really important, once again, to learn to love what you do. And in loving what you know how to do, what you are doing, I think that you also learn better about how or when to stop. And because you have more of a relaxed attitude. I don't have a relaxed attitude towards my work, so be relaxed.
Yeah, I try to go with the feeling.
Yeah.
Right. So my stopping point is when the feeling is complete.
Yes.
Right. When I feel
Yes.
when my spirit feels complete, and then I'm like, okay.
Well, that's
Even
interesting.
if my brain
Right.
wants to.
Right. Because when I'm
tweak it.
for figurative, because I'm trying to catch an emotion. And in fact, somebody was
Right.
asking me about one that I had created that's in here. That I was trying to create an atmosphere,
Okay.
and I mean, I knew what I wanted, and sometimes it takes me a while to get the pose just right, and so that when somebody looks at a piece, they get an emotion. That is the most important thing to me, is that, when someone looks at my art, it evokes something.
Yeah. That's my biggest artist statement is, I want you to feel.
Right. Right.
You should feel.
Right.
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 Like,
Right.
if you're not feeling,
Right.
I'm not doing a job. And I do art that is not even about feeling at all. It's more abstract, and it doesn't have any relation to a feeling or anything
But
like that.
abstract does.
But it does to somebody.
Right.
So I still,
Right.
like, this purpose in that is, even though it's not coming from a feeling from me, it's actually, but hopefully it's still evoking a feeling in somebody.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's still, like, the goal. The goal is to,
Yes.
like, reach in.
Yes.
And
Yes.
touch.
And sometimes it's just the color that evokes
Absolutely.
that emotion. And I've done some abstracts, actually the ones that I've been most successful in selling, that are just simply black and white, or black, white, gray, and ochre, which is actually one of my favorite colors.
Right, yeah, pretty.
And it's amazing what those colors.
Say.
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, and there's no red, there's ochre, but that's not a bright yellow.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But I loved painting them, and I felt good when I was painting them, and so I'm just guessing. It's probably not true, but I'm guessing that maybe somebody else senses that.
Yeah.
When they look
no,
at it.
I think so. I think so. I think that our DNA is right here. So
Yes, yes.
I think people feel us in our
Yeah.
art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what we all go for.
Yeah. That's what we tell ourselves, anyways, to make us feel better.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right, Joel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was
This
fun.
Lovely.
I had a little
Yeah.
good heart-to-heart with myself.
Yeah.
And you helped.
Good. I'm glad. I think that I think it's always so valuable, the conversations we have with other artists.